I go right from Brushback because I want to talk to Tom Verducci. He's got the showcase game, of course, and that is the game up in Fenway. We haven't talked to Tom in a while on this program, and he's more important to me anyway. So let's get to Mr. Verducci right now and get a chance to chat. Tommy, welcome. How are you today, pal? Okay? Good to hear from you again. What's going on?
I'm doing great, Chris. All good.
All right, all good. Let's do a couple things first. I think it's very interesting, Dusty Hall of Fame as a manager. Now, everybody who wins 2,000 games is going to make the Hall of Fame. Bochy's next. He won 2003. We know he's going to make the Hall of Fame. By the same token, Dusty has not won a World Series, and let's face it, 2002 Giants, perfect example. There have been some brutal losses that at least a little of it can be pinned on a manager. This is an executive committee vote. This is not a writer vote. What's your take on his credentials without a title if he doesn't get it in Cooperstown? Let me hear your thoughts on that.
He's a Hall of Famer right now for me, Chris. This guy is a baseball treasure. You think about adding also his playing career, including the postseason. Dusty Baker had more than 2,000 hits as a player, and now he's got more than 2,000 wins as a manager. Yeah, there was some bad luck. I mean, how many managers have suffered more excruciating losses in the postseason than Dusty Baker, whether it was with the Cubs or whether the Giants, even the Nationals against the Cubs in that 5-game series. So the fact that he didn't win the last game, that to me doesn't determine whether he's a Hall of Famer or not. Getting 5 different teams into the postseason. And you said this well, Chris. At his age, he's just as relatable to today's player as he was when he first started managing back in the early 1990s. That's an amazing career. Dusty may have aged, but he never got old in a baseball sense. Guys love playing for Dusty Baker. I've always thought, if a team is supposed to get an X number of wins, Dusty Baker is going to get that number of wins for his team. So, yeah, I'm not going to really be so hard and fast in terms of drawing a line. Oh, you have to have a World Series championship. There's a lot of guys who won a World Series championship, and let's face it, some of them lucked into it. I'm not going to hold that against him if he doesn't get one. I think he's a Hall of Famer as we sit here today.
But most of the criteria in Hall of Fames for managers or coaches, Tom, now Marv Levy's in the Hall of Fame in football. He didn't win one. Most of them, 90%, need a title. You don't think Dusty needs one?
Well, I agree that most do, but I'm saying this guy is an outlier based on both playing and managing career, how good he's been for a manager with so many different teams. He's an outlier to me. There's really not a comp. Ralph Houck, won a lot of games, didn't get, not in the Hall of Fame. Given the fact that he lasted this long and did this well, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Gene Mark is a good comparison. Now, he isn't in the Hall of Fame, and he won with a lot of different teams, but I get it. All right, that's number one. Number two, Judge, let's point on point B with what I just said there at the top. You agree with that. No matter how, it doesn't make any, the Yankees want Judge to play great, and the Yankees, if he goes out there and hits 50 homers and hits 300, and the Yankees go deep in the postseason, he's got 120 RBIs, the Yankees are not letting him leave under any basis. They're paying him the 340, 350, maybe not gladly, but they would pay him that if he has an incredible year without injury. You do agree with that, correct?
I do agree with that. I think, listen, he's always motivated, but I think there's an extra chip here. Aaron Judge is going to play next year at 31. This is his one chance, really one and only chance to really maximize his leverage as a player, right? The Yankees were making a lot of money off Aaron Judge his first few years when he was making minimum salary and performing like, a near MVP player in the major leagues. So he means so much to the franchise, even off the field, that, listen, they made a fair offer to him, but I think he's looking to max out value and play for the Yankees. What does that mean? Well, Anthony Rendon at $35 million. The Yankees be paying Garrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton $35 million. You can't tell me Aaron Judge is not at that level. Let's take Mike Trout out of the equation, but he's 35 plus for me. And don't forget, Chris, he still is arbitration eligible this year. That's going to be a weird situation. The Yankees taking him to arbitration over $4 million in his walk year in the middle of a season where he's playing this well. It's very strange. I don't think it's going to harm the relationship. It's the business of baseball. It's just strange that that's being done. But I see Aaron Judge this year. You had to rip with some of his home runs, Chris. To me, he's jumping on pitches early in counts and pulling the baseball more. And especially with the baseball we have this year, where the back half of the lineup is not hitting opposite field home runs the way they did with the juice ball in 19. the big guys are hitting home runs, and Aaron Judge's value is actually increased now as I think the playing field is level in terms of what is a power hitter and who's not.
Fair. Unless he gets hurt, he's going to get the money. All right, number 3, how concerned do you think MLB is on 6th Avenue with the horrendous Reds? They're 3-20. The last 2 years, they've traded off a lot of players. The owner had some things to say before the season with the Sun, which was very rude, very terribly by that. I had some calls on radio yesterday from Ohio who said, Chris, you would not believe the vitriol in this town towards the franchise right now. These are the Reds. This is a disaster. They're going to, Votto wants out. He's put on Instagram and everything else. They're 3-20, and it's not going to get any better. You think Major League Baseball is concerned by this proud franchise or a cycle? What's your take on that?
No, it's a little bit of both, but I think they should be concerned, Chris, because of what you said. This is a great baseball town with tremendous baseball history. The fans are there. We know that, but they're not going to come out to watch this team. And sort of the identity of this team has been forged already this early this season because it's such a bad start. And I agree, there's no reason to think it's going to get much better. I don't think it's going to be this bad. But, yeah, I mean, you don't want to – listen, every year you're going to have some teams that are going to lose 100 games. That's going to happen. But you don't want to get into that 110-plus territory where you're just non-competitive. And right now, that's where the Reds are at. So I think it will get better, not much better. But if I'm MLB, I don't want to have one of my real historic franchises down this low.
Yeah, plus they traded a lot of players. So, I mean, they almost deserve this run. So I think that's the concern. It's not like they're rebuilding. I mean, they traded the closer and obviously Winkler and the third baseman. That's number 2. Number 3, how important right now, not just this game, is this next stretch of games for the Braves? They had a nice win on Monday night, and they turn around and lose a doubleheader yesterday. This is not the 2020 Mets. This is not the 2021 Mets. The Mets have a chance to have a big year. The manager, deserves some breaks from the baseball gods. And I think the Braves are in a little trouble in the NL East. Forget the Phillies. I don't know about the Phillies. Forget Washington. Forget the Marlins. The Braves are the one that can't let the Mets go out and run like they have here. They got to stop this pretty quick. They're in a little trouble. How much trouble is Atlanta as we begin the year?
Yeah, I look at Atlanta and Boston in a similar vein, Chris, because in those divisions, you look at division winners, the win total is going to be upper 90s, whoever it is, whether it's, probably the Mets, but in the AL East, you've got really 3 really good teams that you're trying to chase down. So you can't give up too much ground this early in the season. And you can say last year, the Braves, they didn't get over 500 until the first week of August. You can't do that this year. They won the division last year with 88 games. That's not happening this year. Now, part of this, and we've seen it year after year after year for 20 years now, Chris, the team that wins the World Series comes back and just doesn't have the same edge. You can't tell me there's nothing to that. I've seen it happen too many times. I've seen managers guard against it in spring training and try to hammer home, hey, guys, we got to play from Jump Street really hard, get out to a good start. It's just human nature. There's a letdown. Braves are going through that right now. But I agree, the Mets are a legitimate, I think, 95-plus win team. You can't afford to fall too far behind. There's just not enough wins on the table to come back. It's not last year. The Braves cannot play 500 baseball or worse for 3 months and expect to chase down the New York Mets. So there's nothing wrong with playing some urgency right now if you're the Atlanta Braves, because I think it fits.
All right, last thing. What is more likely to happen? You have the game tonight, showcase. The Angels staying on this run, and they haven't played well the last 4 or 5 games, but the Angels have a big year and, win 88 games and, right in the postseason mix. That more likely, or more likely that the Red Sox crawl themselves back into a pennant race and play, sort of Joey Alex Cora baseball and put themselves maybe not to win the division, but in playoff discussion in the American League East? What's more likely to happen?
Yeah, I think it's more likely the Angels are at least in the mix. I'm not ready to throw them in the postseason just yet. But when I look at their pitching staff and especially their bullpen, it's way better than it's been the last few years. Now, it might not be elite. It doesn't have to be with the offense that they have. So I like the mix of players the Angels have right now. I think the bullpen is really good enough so that they're keeping leads that they have late in the game and not letting them get away like they did the last couple of years. Boston, I just don't know about. I think they've got some true roster issues here, Chris. This is a team that's going to have to kind of flip in the course of the season. Right now, they're just punting too much offense at 3 of the 8 positions on the field. We're talking about catcher, first base, and right field. So they have to find a way to get more offense with this group. They have to hope that Chris Sale comes back and is healthy and gives them what he can do. But again, they're like the Braves. Don't get too far behind this early because that's too much ground to make up against really good teams.
Excellent point. I'm with you 100%. Great to talk again, Tom. Keep in touch. Enjoy the ball game tonight. Thanks for a few minutes here today.